You know that small, unexpected feeling of joy when you find money you've forgotten about? Yeah, that little rush. Now imagine something even rarer than that. A man who actually gets that same feeling. Not faking it, not pretending, not saying the right things just to impress you, but genuinely understands you. Because let's be honest, whenever you hear the words "a good man," it is a label people throw around too easily. But a man who is emotionally grounded, self-aware, and intentional, they are rare, very rare. And if you ever come across a man like this, you don't take it lightly. Because what you're looking at isn't just a boyfriend. It's a man built for real partnership. So let's start with something most women feel, but don't always recognize. You're having one of those days. Everything is annoying. Your patience is gone. Your emotions are loud. Yes, loud. And you're venting. Not perfectly, not calmly, just releasing everything. Now, watch his response. A rare man doesn't panic. He doesn't correct you almost immediately. He doesn't try to fix your feelings. He mostly stays calm, grounded, present. He listens. He absorbs. He understands that your emotions are not an attack. They're an expression. And instead of escalating the situation, he de-escalates it. He might say something as simple like, "Yeah, that sounds frustrating." Or, "Please, take it cool and ease it through." And just like that, you start to calm down. That's not luck. That's emotional discipline. Because a man who can regulate himself won't be shaken by your emotional storms. And that creates something powerful. A space where you feel safe to be human. Now, let's talk about something that quietly breaks a lot of relationships. Your successes. You achieve something big, a promotion, an opportunity, a growth. And there's this tiny part of you that wonders, how is he going to react? Because not every man celebrates your rise. Some compete with it. Some shrink around it. Some feel threatened by it. But a rare man, he celebrates you fully and genuinely. No hesitation, no insecurity. He's proud of you. He sees it as a win for him, too. He's out loud, in public, without trying to outshine you. He's the one telling people, "Yeah, she's doing big things right now." And you can feel it's real. Because here's the truth. A secure man doesn't see your success as competition. He sees it as alignment. Your growth doesn't threaten him. It elevates the life you're building together. And then there's this quiet, almost invisible thing he does. But once you notice it, you can't deny it. He pays attention, not just to what you say, but to what you don't say. He notices your tone, your expressions, your energy shifts. You say, "I'm fine," and he knows you're not. Not because he's guessing, because he's present. He remembers small things you mentioned weeks ago, things you didn't even expect him to remember. And then he acts on them without being asked. That's not mind reading. That's attention. And attention is a form of care most people underestimate. Now, let me say something that might surprise you. A rare man doesn't just avoid drama. He's a lover of peace, and he actively protects your peace. Yes, there's a difference. Anyone can say, "I don't like stress," but a rare man, he manages it. If something is bothering him, he doesn't dump it on you. He processes it first. If there's tension from outside, he handles it before it reaches you. He doesn't let unnecessary chaos enter your space, because he understands something most people don't. Peace is something you protect, not something you hope for. And listen, I know what you're thinking. That sounds too good to be true. Yeah, it almost does. But here's where it gets interesting. Because in the next few remaining minutes, I'm about to go into traits that don't just only feel good, but actually determine whether a relationship lasts. Now, let's talk about something that confuses a lot of women. Consistency. Because we've been conditioned to believe that love should feel intense,
unpredictable, exciting all the time, high highs, low lows. But the truth, that kind of emotional roller coaster isn't love, it's instability. A rare man feels steady. He shows up when he says he will, he calls when he says he will, he doesn't disappear and reappear like a mystery novel. And yes, at first, that can feel boring. But here's what you need to understand. Consistency is not boring. Consistency is security. It means you don't have to guess. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to decode messages with your friends at 2 a.m. You just relax. And in a world full of confusion, that kind of stability is rare. Now, let's go deeper. Because this one, most people overlook it completely. Again, a rare man notices what you do that no one else sees. Not the obvious things, the invisible ones. The planning, the remembering, the small efforts that keep everything running. And instead of taking it for granted, he acknowledges it. Hey, I saw what you did there. Thank you. I appreciate it. Simple, but powerful. Because when your effort is seen, you don't feel used, you feel valued. And that changes everything in a relationship. Now, here's one that sounds strange at first, but stay with me. A rare man has a life outside of you. Yes, he's not glued to you 24/7. He's not dependent on you for everything. He has his own space, his own interests, his own direction. And that's healthy. Because a man who has no life outside of you eventually starts expecting you to become his entire world. And that becomes pressure. But a man who has his own identity chooses you, not out of need, but out of desire. And that choice, that attraction, that what keeps attraction alive. Let's pause for a second. Because when you put all of this together, you start to see something clearly. A rare man isn't defined by big gestures, not by flashy words, not by temporary effort. He's defined by consistency, emotional control, presence, awareness. The things that aren't loud, but are felt. And here's the truth most people don't say directly. If you find a man who embodies these traits, you don't play games with him. You don't test him. You don't take it for granted. Because what you have is not common. It's rare. And rare things require awareness to recognize and wisdom to keep. So, let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. Have you ever had a man like this in your life, but perhaps didn't fully recognize it at the time? Or maybe you're with someone right now and you're just starting to see it. Drop your response in the comments. Tell me which of these traits stood out to you the most and why. Because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. This is Love Breed. See you in the next one.